Hello everybody, this is Patrick over at La Paz, Chattanooga, and you are watching this because you have signed up to help with some school registration processes that our volunteers from La Paz are going to assist with. So thank you. I want to say that up front. Thank you for signing up to do this. Today I'm going to go through the process of how you're going to go about signing people up in the registration information with everybody. And so I hope you can watch this and get yourself prepared for what's to come on either Thursday or Friday. So as we're going through this, I'm going to pause a lot and talk about some different aspects about the registration process just that you need to be aware of. Okay? So let's start from the very beginning. So first off, know that the schools are all registering people online this year at all the schools. There may be one or two schools that are going to resist the online registration process, and I'm sure the school system will talk to them about that, but the great majority are now using this online approach, and that is why we're going through this video. And this is going to help you prepare just for all the little steps that you'll need to know to enter in information. Okay, so the basic things that you'll need to do. So when a family comes to you for the first time and you're sitting down at the table at one of the schools, they will sit down and have a bunch of information, and usually they'll bring their children with them. So right when they sit down, the first thing you need to do is just welcome them. Just say hello, tell them your name. Hello, I'm this person. I'm a volunteer, John Smith or whatever from La Paz, Chattanooga. I am not with the school system. I am only a volunteer with La Paz, but I'm here to help you fill out your forms. Most of them are going to know that anyway, but it's just clear, it's really important to be clear up front and let them know that you are there just as a volunteer and not from the school. That way they're not going to ask you any questions that are related to the school that you're not going to have an answer to. Okay? If they do, just find a school administrator, by the way. So when they sit down, just make sure that you greet everybody, and then ask them for all of their paperwork that they brought with them. So for all of their children, and they'll get all that information out. Now, what I'm talking about is I'm going to send you some information, and one of that is this school registration volunteer tip sheet. It's going to be basically what I'm talking about now, but in just an overview. But under this section number 1 here, it lists out the documents that the families are asked to bring with them when they're registering their child. So their birth certificate, their ID, your social security number if they have one, shot records, and 2 proofs of residence, or just showing where they live, their address. Okay, so we're going to refer to this tip sheet quite a bit here, different times. But for now, I'm going to toggle back and forth to this so you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so after they get all their information out and they put it in front of you, then you want to pull this piece of paper out. Okay, and you should have this at the school. If not, print out a bunch of these for yourself and have them available, because this is going to be a basic information that will help you fill out the process. Okay, so as you sit down with the parent, get the parent's first name and last name and their cell phone number. Make sure that their name is written down here as it appears on the birth certificate or their ID. Really important. If their last name has a double last name, put the double last name here. Put the hyphen last name there too. Okay. Next is they have to have an email address in order to do the school registration process. So you can ask them if they have one. If they do not have an email address, then you're going to need to establish one. Okay. Now I'm going to toggle back to my browser here, and that I'm going to set up a Google account. So you can go here and go to accounts.google.com, and you can sign them up with a Google account. That's what I would recommend to do that. Usually you want, again, parents' first name, parents' last name, and their username here, I would recommend that you use their first name, period, last name, and use both of their last names. So if it is Maria Alvarez Gonzalez, put Maria, period, Alvarez Gonzalez at gmail.com. The password, I would use their full 10-digit password number, and then follow that up with their initials. So in this case, the 10-digit number, then followed up with MAG, and then confirm it. You'll hit next here, and it'll send you a confirmation asking you to send to verify that this is actually who it is, and it'll send them a code number to their phone, in which case you will need to get from them, and then you will verify their account. So once you have their account created, you'll go back to this form and you're going to fill out. You're going to write down their email address here. You're going to write down their password for them right here. Okay. Then you're going to get all the student information. So all their students that they have with them, write down their first name of the student, the full last name of the student, their gender, their birth date. Make sure that you do this in the American standard, so month, day, then year. Their social security number if they have one, their school that they're going into, and the grade that they're going into. Next, you need to get out the piece of paper that the school has given you or given them that lists the student's ID, their student ID, which the school system calls their SNAP code. The SNAP code is a 15-digit code number that's a series of 5 letters, 5 numbers, 5 letters. That's why you have it here. So these L's are letters. So 5 letters, 5 numbers, 5 letters. Go ahead and write that down for each of the students as well. Okay? The next part of the process after you've done all that is that you need to create a profile account in the Hamilton County school system to help them register. Okay? So this again, I'm going to go back to the browser here, and to do that, you're going to go through the process where you're going to whoops, let me get ahead of myself here. You're going to click on here, you're going to enter the student registration, and it'll take you to the page where you need to enter the SNAP code number. You'll enter the SNAP code number, you'll verify that it's the right person by entering the date of birth, and then it'll take you to the section where they need to enter their SNAP code. Okay, so if they don't have a SNAP code or they don't have a registration to get into the system, then they'll have to create one to get into the system. Okay, and that's what this form is. So this is the section where you need to create a profile for the parent to get into the system to start the registration process. So this is the parent information. So again, you're going to use this form right here to as a reference, first name and last name, and the cell phone number, and the email address, and the password of that email address. Okay, you're going to use that information in this section. First name, last name, their cell phone number, and then here's the section where you want to put their new email address, put that in here. The password, go ahead and use the same password you did for their email address, retype it in, and then there are 2 security questions here. Go ahead and pick 2 and ask them for the answers, and then write out the answers here. Back on this form, at the very bottom, after you filled out that email address and the password again, as a reminder, just write the answers right here of those 2 security questions. Okay, you're going to give this form back to the parents at the end of the time with them. At the very end of the time, have them take a picture of this form. Okay, really important. That way it's in their system, it's in their phone, they can access it, and they can log into their email, they can log into the Hamilton County site when they need to. Okay, really important. All right, back to the process. Okay, you've created their account for them, you've hit this comply, and you create their account. Okay, then it takes them, once you do that, up here their initials will appear, and then there's going to be a little button that says dashboard. Select the dashboard. It'll take them to the section where it'll list the students that are underneath their family that they need to register, and then you're going to select one student, and it'll bring you to the registration page. Okay, so this is what the registration form looks like. Now, I'm going to just preface this by saying this is the test site that the school system set up so that we can walk through the process and help you guys and help the school officials kind of walk through how the system is being done. So as I go through this, know that any of the information that is listed in here that is required, we're going to bypass that because it's a testing site, right? Okay, so the first section, by the way, so as we go through this section, you'll notice that all over here are all these categories. These are the different sections of this process. And if you want to review this, you can go back to that tips sheet right here, the tip sheet, and go back to the second page, and underneath bullet point 3 here, each one of these letters should point and direct to the corresponding page on the website. So you'll see student information right here. That is A right here, the first bullet. This next one, new student information. So that will help you understand the little complexities about each one of these sections. So I would recommend that you print off this form, this school registration volunteer tip sheet. Okay, just print it off, have it there for you as well. just as a reference. All right, so going through this section, I'm going to go through this pretty fast just because I have limited time in the recording. So bear with me here. All right, section 1, student section. So first off, this is that SNAP code number. It should be auto-generated here, but if not, you'll need to re-enter it. You'll want to enter all the information in the fields here. Now with the names, just keep in mind you need to write them out as they legally appear on their birth certificate. So if the student's name is Michael Juan Alvarez Gonzalez, then you'll need to put Michael Juan Alvarez Gonzalez together right here on the last name. Again, if there's a hyphen in the last name, make sure you put that. Down here, social security number. This is to verify that it is the child, that who we're referring to, in case that there are multiple Michael Juan Alvarez Gonzalez's out there. That now you have a mother's maiden name that verifies it, because there's a slim chance that it's going to be the same name here. So you're going to put the mother's name here. The gender of the student, the birth date of the student, the grade, and the school that they're going into. And then the information about the child's home. So this is the home phone number, which is going to usually be the parent's cell phone number, the mailing address, and the residence address, which will pretty much be the same as well. Again, so this is where you're going to find their utility bill, some sort of proof of insurance, and you're going to write the information here. Then this is the section where you have to take a picture and upload the 2 forms of their proof of residency, so that this tells the school, yes, I am zoned for this particular school based on my address. This is where I live. I verify it. I will say this, that if they live with another family and the other family is who pays the bills, then that family has to be there with them to verify that they live with them. So that's a really important thing. If they don't have that, you're going to have to talk to a school administrator and ask them what you're going to do about that process. Okay. The next section down here refers to how's that child getting to school. You're going to select whichever process they're going to use, car, bus, walk, whatever that is, and then hit next. The next section takes them to their birth certificate information and more information about the child. So this is straight up from the birth certificate. Make sure you enter that information as it appears on the birth certificate. Part A of this section relates to their ethnicity. So it's either yes, I'm Hispanic, or no, I'm not Hispanic. Okay, most of them, again, 90% are going to be yes, of course, here. This next section has to do with race, but I do want to point out that underneath the selection process, Hispanic is listed here. So if you do select Hispanic, you still have to pick one of these other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. Okay, so you still have to choose that. So if you only hit Asian, then that will automatically appear. Well, this one actually shows that you can be Asian and black, so which you can be, which is great. So this is just, I'm not quite sure why they did it in this way, but you do. They did, so this is the way you have to follow this, okay? The next section is about where they have attended school before, if they ever have. Did they go to preschool? Who do they live with, both parents? What other adults do they live with? Is their parent part of the military? No. Are they taking English as a second language? That's an important question. If they are a student that's been around and speaking English for a long time, you'll probably answer no. If they're bad in their English, the school is required to offer some support to them, and so you need to answer yes here. Are they in special ed? That also means gifted, either one. Make sure you enter that here. Here you're going to upload their birth certificate and their social security card if they have one. If they don't have a social security card, by the way, you can actually just keep on going with the process. It's not required, but it is really helpful for the school. Their birth certificate is required. Okay. Hit next. This is the section that talks about the home language survey. So basically, what's the languages that have been spoken around the student or that they speak? So the first section is, or question is, what is the first language that this child learned to speak? Lots of different selections on here. Most of the time, it's going to be Spanish. Then the next question is, what language does this student speak outside of school? Mostly. So this pretty much, it could be English if they've been around for a long time, or it could be Spanish. All right. The third question has to do with their family. What language do people in their house typically speak? Okay. If they come from Guatemala, make sure you ask them. Habla mam, quiche, guanamo. If they say yes to those, then select Mayan languages. That way the school knows that the first language of the parent or of that family is a Mayan language, which means that they may need to find a translator to help them with. What date did they enter the U.S.? You'll just need to get a ballpark here. So if they entered in the spring of 2003, you're going to put March 1st, 2003. You want to get broad here because they're not going to know the specific date. If they were born in the United States, put the date of birth. When did they first start school? You can put the August, 1st of whatever year it was. That's going to be probably the general. You're not going to know the exact date. Okay, go on to the next section. This section is going to ask, in the past 3 years, has this child moved to another city, state, or county? Okay, in the last 3 years. If they answer yes, then they will have all this section will pop up. If they answer no on this, maybe they've lived here for a while, then that's it. You're going to move on. But if they do answer yes, you have to. Then they want to know if their family members are involved in any of these industries. They're not going to ask where they work, but they do want to know if they work in any of these. And there's some funding related to this with the school system, so it's an important thing for them to know. And they want to know how long. So that's what these two are as well. By the way, this is a testing site. I am going to send you the link to this so that you can practice in here. So know that I'm going through this quickly, but you're going to be able to go through this at your own pace to get yourself prepared as well. Okay. I also want to say that as you're going through this, I'm going to hit next here and go to the next one. Okay, so now we're in the family situation. But as you enter in information in any of these fields, I do want to say that you can enter this in through Spanish version of this. But I do want to say if you enter anything in this field or in any of these fields, be sure to go down here at the bottom and hit the next button before you toggle to the other language. Okay? If you don't, you will lose that information. And that's really important. You don't want to lose this and have to retype it over and over and over again. You're going to do all this on an iPad, by the way, so that means it's going to be a little bit of a pain to enter it. So if you do have an iPad, Bluetooth, conducive keyboard that can sync with an iPad, bring it, because you will use it. Trust me, it'll be a lifesaver. All right, so back to this. So this is where you're going to write down the parents' information. So here you want to write down the information as it's listed on the birth certificate, except for one case, and that is if the family, is in a situation where the mother and father no longer live with each other, and maybe just as an example, the mother is remarried, and now there's another husband who is also the stepfather of this child. This is where you want to put down those adults. Not necessarily as the birth certificate of parents, but who is caring for this child. That's what they want to know here. So put down their first name, last name of all the adults of the two primary guardians or parents here, and all their information. Notice that the home phone number and cell phone number are required. So put the cell phone number here twice. Here's where you're going to enter the email address again. You're going to enter in the employer information if they have any, and the work phone number as well of that adult. You'll do the same thing with the second adult. And then in the bottom here, this question asks how many of their siblings are school age. Do they have any school age siblings? In this case, I'm going to select 2, and then you have to enter in their siblings' names and the information as well. Okay, so really important. You'll be entering multiple information. Again, the reason why you want to have this form right here at your disposal so you can quickly enter in this information. Okay? All right, back to the form. Hit next. It's going to take you to the emergency contact information. So on the back of this parent information form, you want to write down who their emergency contacts are. Okay, write down their name, their relationship to the child, and their phone number. This is going to be really important. You're going to use this a couple times. So here's where you're going to enter that person's first name, last name, their relationship, the type of phone it is, and the phone number. Okay. If you have multiple ones, you can write those down here as well. You're going to enter this again in another section, so pay attention to this. So you go to next. All right. Now this is the student's medical information. Here you're going to write down the family's physician or their pediatrician and their dentist. If they don't have one, we do have a listing that we are going to have available, and I'm going to have it as an attachment in for your training email. Here's a few that you can pick from. If they do not have one, I would really recommend some of these because they're bilingual and they're there to help assist, especially Latino families in the area. Now this is Chattanooga specific. If there are going to be others that are out there that we're going to miss, and if you know of anything, please have them contact us. We'd love to add them to this list as well. Okay. All right. So you've entered in that information. Now it's asking about their child's insurance. So if they do have insurance, if the child has insurance, then you'll need to write down the child's insurance card number and company, and then any of the health-related information, allergies, medications, that sort of stuff. The bottom of here, you need to upload the child's shot records as well. Click Next. Now again, here's that emergency contact. All right, now you want to ask the parent, can this person also dismiss the child from school? And if the answer is yes, then this is where you're going to enter that person's information again. Also, now you want to select yes here if they want to have another person who is able to pick them up outside of the parents. This is not about the parents. This is in addition to the parents. But if a child has an older sibling at a high school or at a middle school and they're going to pick up their child, the sibling has to be entered in here as well. Okay. This also lists in this section, is there someone who is not allowed to pick them up? So cases of abuse or cases of divorce, this might be a situation that you would have to enter that person's name here as well. Hit Next. All right, this is the agreement section. This goes through all the different secondary forms that oftentimes parents will have to read through and sign. 95% of the time, none of our families that you're going to help will have read any of these. Unfortunately, you're not going to have time to review them all with them, so you're going to have to paraphrase. The student handbook, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. Each school has a different student handbook and has a slightly different things in it, so you're not going to be able to read through that with anybody, but they should have them available there that day, and you can just pass them off or make sure you talk to a student, maybe a school administrator. Technology has to do with, if just basically, are they aware that the child is going to use technology, and do they agree that they're going to use it appropriately? Yes or no. If they bring their own laptop computer or iPad or tablet, not a phone, just the computer or iPad, if they're going to bring that, do they promise that their child will use it appropriately? Yes. Do they agree that the child's photos or videos of them can be used for school-related purposes, for yearbook or for the school's Facebook account, that sort of stuff, yes or no? The school system will do a health and vision screening at the school. Are they aware of that, and is it okay if they're being conducted to do that? Yes. FERPA has to do with the statistical information of the child, so their all, not their name, but all the other stuff, so their gender, their background, their grades, their attendance, their all that sort of stuff. So this is more for statistics. Is it okay to use this information with their partners, the school's partners? Yes. The attendance policy, or no, I guess in those cases, these are all options. Are they aware that there's attendance policy and that if their child misses too many days of school, that there will be a consequence? Do they agree with that? Yes or no? The last one is if their child is misbehaving, that there will be some sort of form of discipline. Make sure that, again, do they agree with that? Yes or no? I will say that corporal punishment, so paddling, is one of the options that a principal is allowed to use if they so choose. So just keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to explain that, but that is one of the options that the school is allowed to use still here in Hamilton County. Quite interesting. The next section is basically the signature. Do you agree that all the information that was provided is true? In which case you will say, sorry, that was my wife. You will say yes or no, in which case you can sign this here. There is no option. So is it all true? Yes. Then put the date. Okay. Hit next. When you hit next here, this is a review. So this form right here is the process for which you can go through and review everything. As you go through this, in the actual system itself, if you've missed something or something is not entered in here, they won't give you this option to hit the submit button. All right. So if this is green, that means that pretty much most of this should be okay. But I would still quickly kind of review all of it just in case. If you do miss something and you hit one of these edit buttons to enter that, it's going to take you back to one of these related sections. Okay. So if I hit edit here, it's going to take you back to that section. You're going to re-enter that information. Make sure you hit this next button. That saves that section again. And then go back to the review and submit. That'll take you back to the page. Okay. At the end, you can now double check again after you hit submit, it has submitted. That process is done for that particular student. Once you've done that, go back up to this up here. Again, there's going to be a link to the dashboard. Select the dashboard and then select the next student. When you hit the next student, there should be a page that opens that says, would you like to transfer the information from the other student to this student's registration process? And yes, you want to do that. Now, it won't transfer everything, but it will transfer most things. All right. Once you have done that for all of the students, the same process, then make sure that you go up here and you log out. That will get you prepared for the next family to come up to you. Okay. After you've logged out, you just need to tell the parent, thank you so much, you're done. And the next thing you need to do is, you can give them some information. So here's a La Paz brochure. If you have any questions about anything over the course of the year, not just school, but anything, health insurance, or, if they're a victim of crime or anything like that, that they can call or contact us by phone number or by text number, and it's on on one of our brochures. You can hand that to them, all right? And then you'll usually send them to the checkout station at the school, all right? So that is the process. Now, I do want to relay that a couple different things. So again, this is a really important thing. Make sure the parents take a picture of this. You're going to give this form back to them, and then they can take it back with you. Print this off. This has lots of different suggestions and also some great reminders here at the very end. Just to make sure... Make sure that you wear a shirt if you have one, a La Paz t-shirt. If you don't, that's okay. Wear a name tag, even if it's a piece of tape. Write your name on it. Bring water. Bring water. You're going to talk a lot. You're going to get thirsty. They may not have water for volunteers. And then the last thing I just want to say is just remember that the school system is being required to do this. It is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for everybody, including our school staff, okay? They're not IT experts, and they're being asked to enter all the students' information in the same process. They're overwhelmed. We're there to help support. So be friendly, be nice to our school officials, okay? Ask them questions. Tell them you're there as a volunteer, and you're being servant-minded, and you're just being there to support any way that you can. But be also honest about your Spanish proficiency. If you're extremely fluent, tell them. If you only know a few words and you're saying, hey, I'm here to help the best of my ability, but I'm not fluent, tell them. That way they know up front. There is a bunch of other information that I'm going to send to you, but this is the general process of how you go through this, okay? So these are all the different websites that you're going to see on the day that you do registration as well, okay? Lastly is if we still do need volunteers, so this link up here shows where friends of yours can still sign up to volunteer. Some of these will hopefully disappear, meaning that we filled up those, but as you can tell, we have quite a few. So if you have any friends who still would like to help, please have them go to this website and sign up to volunteer. We could use more people. We do have over 80 people signed up to help, which is amazing. We have 200 spots, though, so if that tells you the need. This is a tremendous need. So again, I want to say thank you. This is a tremendous service, not just to the school system, but it's just a tremendous service to the Spanish-speaking families in our community. And what you're doing is that you're just showing them that you are a concerned resident and neighbor, and you are there just to say hi and provide them a welcoming environment that will help to ensure that, their child is important as well. Their family is important in our community, and we want them to thrive. You are there to help them to go through this process, and that is an important process for these families and for their children. So, again, thank you for doing this. If you have any questions throughout the day or anything, on this tips sheet, at the very bottom is our office phone number. You can call this, but in my email to everybody, I will also list my mobile number so that you can have it in case you need to text me. It's fine to text me on that day. I will be busy. I will not be at all the schools. A La Paz staff member may not be at that school as well, so you might be the only La Paz volunteer or representative at the school, so know that. but we will try to be available to the best of our ability to answer any questions that you might have. Okay. Again, thank you so much. Refer to this video, refer to the other materials that I'm going to send, and if you have any questions, let us know. And also, if you feel like you want to continue to volunteer with La Paz, we would love to have you join one of our community circles. That is the avenue or program for which we organize our volunteers. We would love for you to pick one of the community circles, which is basically a geographical area where you want to provide your service to the Latino families in that area. There is a lot that we do throughout the year to help support those families. The biggest part, though, is that we really, really desire to build meaningful relationships with all those families. This is one first touch. There's a potential that you may see these same families in other activities that La Paz does throughout the year. And if you can build lasting relationships with them, we all get stronger, right? So please consider being a general La Paz volunteer. And if you choose to do that, then go to our website up here, lapazchattanooga.org/volunteer. Fill out our volunteer application, and we would love to have you engaged. There's a lot of things that our volunteers do throughout the year, not just with the schools, but they also help teach computer classes. They help to do childcare at some of our other courses and classes that we operate. They help with special events. They help with fundraising events. There's all kinds of things that we do, and our volunteers love it. They are getting to know other families in our city. They're building relationships, and it's meaningful work. And honestly, it's a civic duty that you can fulfill for yourself here. This is one really important thing to do, and that is by volunteering in the community, and you can do so here at La Paz as well. So again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can also email us at volunteers with an S, or no, I'm sorry, volunteer, no S, at lapazchattanooga.org. Volunteer at lapazchattanooga.org. Again, thank you so much, and God bless.